You done fell right down that rabbit hole, so reality is questionable. Try, but you just can't let it go. These two right here put on the show. It's paranormal overload with southern hospitality. Haunted murder, mayhem, tip while discussing immortality. Locations with a dark past, history that comes to life. Hillbillies with a knack for everything that goes bump at night. Overthinking if you by yourself, these two will have you turning on the lights. Mixing in a little comedy to make sure it all fits in just right. Hey.
Welcome to Hillbilly Horror Stories. Now here's your hosts, Jerry and Tracy Paul, and their dog Ninja.
And sometimes their cat Freddy, but never the ferrets.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 389 of Hillbilly Horror Stories. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Tracy.
Tracy, as usual, we want to start off by thanking all of our military and civil servants all over the world, no matter which country you represent. Thanks for everything you guys and gals and service animals do for us.
That's so true. We pray for you guys all the time. Thank you for keeping us safe. So, keep doing your thing.
We also want to remind people that if they're struggling with just life in general, could be over anything, could be finances, could be relationships. It just could be because you don't know reason. You just feel like you're, down.
Yeah.
You don't know why. Sometimes you just can't put your finger on it.
I have those days.
But if you're in that situation, please reach out for help. You can do that through our group that is phenomenal. I saw as we're recording, today is the 6-year anniversary of when the group was started.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Well, I'll be dang.
Yeah. Now this is coming out like 3 weeks later because we had to record some stuff early. But So Tracy, how else can they get help?
They can also call the crisis hotline at 988. You can text it 741-741. But there's always somebody there to listen, guys. Please, please reach out.
And there is no shame in asking to talk.
No, sir. None at all.
Tracy, this episode is actually, we are moving this week. This is the week of our big move.
Mm-hmm.
So we've set this one up. This was a Patreon episode that we did a couple of years ago on the infamous Clown Motel.
Yee.
So
there is nothing good that sounds good about that. Nothing.
But it was a very fun story, and I think you guys are going to like the facts that came out of it. No special guests, no Patreons or iTunes reviews or anything tonight because we're kind of like 3 weeks ahead as we're putting the beginning on this. But yeah, there you go. So without further ado, enjoy the Clown Motel.
You are listening to the Hillbilly Horror Stories Patreon bonus episode. Please welcome your hosts, Jerry and Tracy Pauly.
Hey guys, welcome to the January 2023 Patreon bonus episode.
What up? Coming in strong.
Yes, we are. This actually is a really cool story, so
Great.
I think you guys are going to like this one. Tracy, there's lots of scary places to sleep in Nevada, but none are as creepy as the Clown Motel in Tonopah.
Well, sounds like I wouldn't want to sleep there, that's for sure.
It actually, this place has a cool history, though. It's not very old, but it's still got a cool history.
So, is it like on the strip, or is it like out of town, like out on the outskirts?
No, it's Tonopah is one of these cities that has it was an old mining town, silver mining town, and at one time it was huge and robust and all that, and now it's just a shell of itself. There's not a lot of people live there, but they do got some cool stuff. They got I think it's called the Mitza Hotel that's also known to be haunted, and they've got some stores and stuff. So they have a little strip there, but it's not like a strip like Las Vegas Strip or something. I mean, it's a little small,
little fun place maybe to go.
Yeah, a little small fun town. So
okay, good.
Ghost town type deal.
Yeah,
or I should say Western town, but ghost town too. But it's not like deserted or nothing.
Right,
so.
right.
All right. This clown-themed hotel has been creeping out guests since 1985. So see, it's really not that old.
No, not at all.
Right now, is a collection of clowns of over 2,000 different types of clowns and figurines and stuff like that.
Oh, dang. Boy, that could be somebody's really bad nightmare.
Just about every era and every part of the world that you could think of is represented here.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. Look at all that.
With that being said, some are completely terrified of the clowns and would never book a night here, but for others, it's a dream booking.
Mm-hmm.
You'll really want to come around Halloween time, and I'll tell you more about that later. Actually, you know what? We're just going to talk about it now because it's on my mind. But around Halloween time, the motel hosts what they call the Clown Hunt. It's a Halloween scavenger hunt that takes place every evening from October 29th through October 31st. Reservations are required, though, so you got to do that. But you don't have to be a guest at the motel to participate, and tickets are complimentary to guests, though, if they are staying there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not too bad of a deal.
So is it like all sizes of clowns or just like little ones? Or I know that's probably not important. I just kind of wondered.
Well, as far as the scavenger hunt, it's, well, what it is, let me just break this down. It says there's numerous different accounts of lifelike clowns lurking around the motel and the nearby cemetery. So your mission during the clown hunt is to find out if Jack, who's the motel's former owner, which is not true, that's just kind of the made-up name they gave him, is the one behind all of it. So it's like a Scooby-Doo type thing. But you get to solve puzzles and you collect a number of clues throughout the night. And if you're brave enough to take on the creepy task, you'll be handsomely rewarded. Not to mention, the motel's resident clowns will be giving away plenty of awesome prizes during the festive weekends.
Well, how fun is that?
So, yeah. It's also a costume contest and all that stuff. So, anyway.
It sounds like they do it up right.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool deal. I think it would be worth checking out. Anyways.
Let's pack our bags. Oh, we got to wait till October. Never mind.
It's kind of January.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you missed that part at the beginning of the episode when we said it was the January episode.
Kind of slipped my mind.
All right. So let's break down the town itself. Tonopah is a former mining town. And like many of these other towns, they were bustling at one point. Now, the motel itself didn't open until 1985, and it has 32 rooms.
32 rooms?
Yep.
Okay.
And you know, let me tell you this thing. I don't know where this comes from. I saw something that said it had 30 rooms. I saw a news clip that said it had 31 rooms. Then I saw something that said it had 32 rooms.
Well, you know, maybe they just turned
They could have.
one room into a room.
It could be.
It was used for something else.
They could be counting the gift shop and everything as a room as opposed to the rooms for rent and all that. So the motel is notorious for its extensive clown collection and has visitors from all over the world coming to spend the night. Most do this just because they like the thought of being surrounded by creepy clowns, but this motel has an added creepy vibe because it's also said to be haunted. Oh, and to add even more of a creepy factor, it sits right next door to Tonopah Cemetery.
Well, they fucked out there, didn't they?
But this was the old Tonopah Cemetery, and it was actually used from 1901 to 1911.
Okay.
And it literally is right next door. If you've got one of the end rooms, you could literally throw a rock into the cemetery.
Wow. So that was a little added bonus for them.
Yes, and I'm sure they were probably thinking that when they put this here. From the moment that you walk through the door, you're greeted by huge clowns. Then you go to the reception area, where there just happens to be hundreds of clowns, dolls, and figurines to observe you while you're checking in. Every single nook and cranny of this motel is filled with clowns of some sort, including pictures and paintings. Some of the clowns are life-size, and unfortunately, for some anyway, the actual rooms aren't filled with clowns.
They are not?
No. This is like all the hallways and stuff is, but the actual rooms have a little more taste to them. They're a lot more modern and what have you, but there are clown signs on every door. So your door has a clown sign on it. Now, that doesn't mean that there are no clown stuff at all in the rooms. For example, there are clown pictures hanging on the walls, and some of these pictures are like what you would call the wall size pictures, like the frame goes from ceiling to floor.
Dang.
Doesn't take up the whole wall, but it's a big chunk of the wall.
Yeah.
Some of the pictures that you'll see, Pennywise from It. He's got a portrait in one of the rooms. I say portrait, but it literally goes from it's basically the whole wall. Tracy, could you sleep in a room where the whole wall was a giant painting of Pennywise, basically?
I don't know if I could or not. I don't know. Clowns really don't bother me like that. I guess just the thought of some creepy thing looking down on me while I'm sleeping, reckon. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I did read somewhere that the basic room here is only about $80. There are some more expensive theme rooms available, but $80 is the average room there. And I saw a video where the guy actually was in the rooms. I mean, it's basic, but it looked clean and it wasn't outdated or anything.
Yeah.
It looked, like I said, pretty modern.
Yeah, that's not a bad price.
Now, there's also a bunch of outdoor seating available, which is pretty cool. It didn't look like the best seating, but there's just like a bunch of chairs and stuff sitting outside.
Oh.
So there's some gathering areas and stuff like that.
Right.
This place is your basic hotel, or motel, I should say. If you ever been to that kind of a touristy area like Gatlinburg or something, and you're going and you just see one of these smaller motels off the side of the road that look like it's from the 1980s,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like.
Well, but you probably get more bang for your buck with all that stuff that might be going on inside.
Right. So we'll get into this a little bit later, but if it wasn't for the clown stuff there, they probably would have a hard time getting $40 a room. It's that kind of motel. Something that caught my eye is there's actually an exorcist clown room, which is room 111.
No.
The Pennywise room, by the way, is in room 108. And we're going to talk more about those rooms as we get into it, the paranormal side. A couple of things. First of all, the motel has not been there any longer than 1985. I don't know what it was or if there was anything there
Before that.
But the motel was actually built in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just when Leroy and Leona David bought it. And they decided that they wanted to decorate it with 150 clown statues that their late father, Clarence David, had left them. It was a tribute to their father, of course, and now it's grown to over 2,000 items because people come in there and give it to them from all over the world. They just give them clowns.
Honestly, what else would you do with all those clowns at the beginning? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? At least they put them to good use.
Now, the Davids, they were, like I said, brother, sister. They ran it up until 1995, so about 10 years. And then they sold it to Bob Perchette. And he ran it for 22 years up until 2017. He was 80 years old and decided to hang it up. He didn't want to, but, he just didn't feel like he could handle the day-to-day operations.
Right.
And to be honest with you, the hotel maintenance-wise and stuff, the motel had kind of gotten away from him, which is, like I said, why it needed some work and stuff like that. He put it up for sale for $900,000. That actually seems fairly inexpensive for a motel that's got 30 rooms, but it is in a smaller town and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. In his contract, though, Bob demanded that whoever bought it keep it a clown-themed motel. That's when Vijay Mahar, he actually bought it in 2019, so 2 years after it went on the market. And he did keep it that way, and he's helped grow it, and he's redone it. So there's a lot of painting and stuff that's been done to the outside to jazz it up, make it look a little more special.
Right. And Lord knows how many more new clowns have you got since back in the day?
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the cemetery before we talk about the paranormal part of the actual motel. Old Tonopah Cemetery, as we said, is right next to the Clown Motel. And it began in 1901 with the burial of Randall Weeks. It was right in the heart of town. By 1911, the number of dead outgrew the tiny plot of land that they were using for the cemetery, and a larger cemetery was built. This was during the time of the silver boom, and the town was growing like crazy. Now, the old cemetery has about 300 people buried there. Most of the dead were victims of the wild and rowdy Wild West lifestyle, as you could imagine, but there were a couple other tragedies, for example, that would actually fill up a lot of that cemetery. For example, the majority there died from the Belmont mine fire of 1911.
Oh.
And this is because there were very lax safety standards of those times, and this
Yeah.
was a mining town. The other big filler-upper of the cemetery, we'll say, was the mysterious Tonopah Plague of 1902, which, looking back, most people seem to think that this might have been a case of pneumonia, and because there was a lack of sanitary conditions and stuff, it just spread to a bunch of people.
Right.
So this quote-unquote mysterious plague may have just been pneumonia, but it
Yeah.
wiped out a
Very
bunch of people.
sad. Very sad.
Okay, so let's do some paranormal stuff. Well, wait a minute. I want to tell you this. This cemetery, it's got a bunch of the old headstones and stuff like that, obviously. And a lot of them you can still read, even though they're 130 years old almost, 120 years old. And it's like crosses, but then they've got like bronze or copper over top. And then the names are like chiseled in, like, the little dot,
Oh,
made like that. That's really cool. But all of the graves there's basically all dirt on top. There's no grass growing over top of them.
None of it?
No, none of them. And they've got rocks. So you got the headstone, then you got rocks that outline the graves
Oh,
on every one of these.
Well, how is it possible there's no grass?
It's a desert, babe.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But that's cool, though. They use the rocks around that. Then kind
Yeah, we do that in our
accentuates
yard.
it.
When I do our little fake cemetery, I put the rocks around
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
So yeah, just picture you look over, there's a fence. And in this fence, there's a bunch of graves, and it's nothing but dirt and the old headstones and the rocks around them, outlining the graves.
That took a long time for people to do.
Oh, I guarantee. All right, so let's do the paranormal stuff. Would it surprise you that many claim to see spirits walking around in the cemetery and then making their way over to the motel?
That would not surprise me.
This is actually where most people think that the hauntings of the hotel come from, or motel. I keep saying hotel, but there is a difference. But this is where a lot of people think the hauntings of the motel come from, but not all of the hauntings. Now, I couldn't find a year on this, but it was in the modern era. The motel's elderly front desk manager was living on the property. And this was during a time, I guess they said, a lot of people who were on their last legs as far as the end of their life, they would go rent motel rooms and stay there. Just to, I guess for not having the extra bills and just having everything taken care of for you. And
Well, I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
well, one night, this elderly front desk manager, he was off work, off duty, and he was in room 108, which is the Pennywise room. He started feeling bad, and he picks up the phone to call the front desk. It rang, and it rang on his end, but no response.
Well, wasn't he the person at the front desk?
No, he was off duty. I said,
So okay, somebody else was working.
right. That would make sense if he was supposed to be down there.
Yeah. My bad.
He called his sister, who then called 911, and unfortunately, he passed away on the way to the hospital.
Dang.
So my question immediately was, why not call 911 yourself?
Right.
Why are you calling the front desk? And then why do you call your sister? But maybe he wasn't in the right frame of mind.
That could be. That could be.
Anyway, the front desk agent from that night said that the phone never rang, and surveillance footage actually proves that to be the case. It was almost as if something was trying to stop this gentleman's calls to the front desk.
Well, that's a bummer.
The former front desk manager supposedly still haunts that room. So you get Pennywise and you get
The double decker
you
there.
get the front desk manager. So now let's go to room 111, the exorcist room. And there's another story. A terminally ill man came here to live out his final days and stayed in the room. Much like we were talking about earlier. The doctor had given him a short time to live, but he didn't want to burden his family. So each night he went to bed not expecting to wake up the next day. But he woke up several days after that. Eventually, though, he told the staff that he noticed an eerie shadow starting to appear in his room during the early morning hours after he would wake up. He still couldn't figure out why was still hanging around himself, not the shadow figure, but why he was still around, because according to doctors, he should have passed a long time ago. He begged the spirit to take his life, which repeatedly never happened. Overwhelmed with frustration, he took his own life in the Clown Motel parking lot.
Oh.
He is said to haunt room 111.
I mean, I wonder if he was just, I guess, you say he was terminally ill. I wonder what it was. Maybe.
I'm sure he was in pain and all that.
Oh.
Room 210. The story here says that there was a man who was on a long trip. He started to have excruciating back pain. This was not new to him. He stopped off at the Clown Motel to rest, and, he goes in there and gets off the road and gets him a room. He had this back pain issue for years, and what frustrated him was his lack of being able to find out what exactly was causing the condition.
Oh, yeah.
Doctors just couldn't figure it out, so he just dealt with the pain. When he woke up the following day, he felt completely different. He said it was the first time in years that he basically was pain-free. He was convinced that the motel spirits had cured his back issue. So, he moved into the hotel, into that particular room, and he lived there for 6 years.
Get out of here.
He then died in that very room that he claims that he was cured in.
So he went 6 years with no pain.
Just because he spent the night there.
Well, I mean, I'm glad he got to experience that for a while anyway.
But his spirit supposedly haunts room 210. Last one, room 214. Most of us have heard of Howard Hughes, right?
Yes.
He was a very eccentric Texas billionaire that was involved in aviation and the movie business back in the 1970s. He became a recluse, obviously, in his later years. And this story, though, isn't about him. It's about his very close associate, Melvin Dumar. Now, Dumar made a visit to the hotel for an overnight stay. He didn't leave for 3 years. So you got the last guy that came in off the road just to get a night's sleep to keep his back from hurting. He stayed 6 years. This guy stayed there for 3 years.
Well, why'd he stay there for 3 years?
Well, it didn't really say. It just said that he stayed there for 3 years, and apparently, and he left. He didn't die.
Oh, okay.
But he left after 3 years, and it said that the spirit that was already in that room took a liking to Mr. Dumar, and it often comes back to see if Mr. Dumar has returned.
Oh.
I guess we can safely say he did not return.
I guess not.
So, don't mean to bust any spirits out there. The spirit gets frustrated that it hasn't been able to find Mr. Dumar, and it taunts guests by turning the lights on and off during the night. Many other guests have said that their belongings have become either hidden or completely disappeared altogether. I said that was the last story, but I'm going to do one more. This is a short one, though. Housekeeper Libby Bravo. She's heard the stories about room 108, the Pennywise room. She said at one time that she was in there cleaning the bathroom. No one else was in the entire room. The window curtain in the main room quickly slid open as if somebody grabbed it with their hand and just, opened it as quick as they possibly could, sliding it. She said the entire room filled with light, and she decided that that was enough for her, and she refuses to clean that room any longer unless someone goes in with her.
Oh, I don't blame her.
So,
well,
anyways,
it's kind of like a cool place, actually.
and that's our story of the Clown Motel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has some good stuff with it. Help that guy be without pain for 6 years and things like that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff to happen in a place that's only been around for 45 years or so.
Right.
47 years.
I would definitely like to go see that if we ever got out that way.
I would too. It's like I said, and when you see how close the cemetery actually is. I mean, you hear people a lot of times say right next door and there's a road in between you or something. There's no road.
No
in
road
between
at
us.
all.
No.
Shoot.
No. It's like I said, you step You step right from, I bet from that end building to the fence, I bet it's not more than 30 yards. So, and it's like almost like a given that if you go visit the motel, you have to go visit the cemetery. Everybody goes over and looks at all the names
I
and
would
everything on the
too,
cemetery.
sure.
So,
That's
anyways,
cool. That was a good story, babe.
that's our story for this week.
Good job.
All right, guys, we love you. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love you guys.